you all can see, it really does take a village to pull together a conference like this. So let's get the party started. To kick off the conference, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome Jay Chaudhry to the stage. He's not somebody unknown to most of us, especially in the space of cybersecurity, where he has had many, many successful startups, including some of the ones are Air Defense, Cypher Trust, Secure IT, and now Zscaler, where he is the CEO and chairman. This is a company that went public in 2018 and has been growing exponentially. I don't think there is any industry where you talk about infrastructure, networking, security, where Zscaler is not known. Jay is an alumni of IIT BHU and University of Cincinnati. And we could not have found a more apt subject to open the conference because security is at the tip of the iceberg. To look at anything innovative, you cannot really fulfill that promise without ensuring that security is part of it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jay Chaudhry to open TiEcon 2024.
Thank you, sir. Wow. Good afternoon. It's wonderful to see TiEcon bringing all these entrepreneurs together to really help them to move to the next stage of the journey. It was 97 timeframe. I was doing my first startup called Secure IT. It was a security services company. And I started to get a lot of calls from potential suitors. And I had no context in any world of VCs or entrepreneurs or anything like that. And I was wondering, who could I call? Who could I talk to? At that time, there's nobody. I ended up making a call. VeriSign ended up acquiring Secure IT, which worked out quite well. It was good, but once that was done, I looked for Indian entrepreneurs, and I found one name at that time that was prominent, Kanwal Rekhi. Okay. He had built Exelon, sold it to Novell. I came to the Valley, I met with him, and I said, how do you connect? He said, join TiE, and we're going to help the Indus community to build businesses to help them. So I got involved in starting a chapter in Atlanta. But it's great to see this community has come a long, long way, having done so much stuff. So thank you, TiE. You are so great. Today's topic I have is about disrupting legacy technology to build lasting companies. The first company I started, Zscaler, was actually a first pure play internet security services company. Okay, that's all we did. It was a new idea at that time. And today, I'll talk about Zscaler being a disruptive idea. And that idea started from early my engagement at TiE. So fast forward to 2007, I was fortunate that I had built and sold 4 companies. And the first one, when I built and sold, it happened so fast, so quickly, everything went so well that I was wondering, it was a fluke or can I really build a company systematically? That led me to build other 3 companies. But in 2007, I was sitting there and having sold 4 companies, I had no interest in doing one more and selling it. I wanted to do something big, something lasting, and I said, what could be the big thing in the next 20 years or so? I've been using Salesforce and NetSuite since year 2001 in all my startups. And I was a big fan of these SaaS companies, and I said, wow, why don't we build the Salesforce of cloud security? Security that happens in the cloud. And that idea came from the fact that working with enterprises, I had seen these complex hub and spoke networks and castle and moat security, the firewalls, VPNs, all that stuff making it very complicated. And I imagined a network that's very simple. We reimagine security that has no room for firewalls, no room for VPNs. We simply become an exchange, a switchboard that connects the right user to right application. A little crazy idea, but the idea made sense. We became a policy engine, period. No notion of having your own network. We said internet could become your corporate network. This idea was as different as essentially having a new kind of car, an electric car, as compared to these traditional cars. So that firewall, VPN-based technologies like legacy cars, I looked at what building like an electric car. It's almost like going away from DVD players and building Netflix, where you don't have to worry about any of the stuff. That was the idea. Today, with a public company, it's great to be back here. Last time Ty invited me to give a keynote was 2018. We had just gone public at that time, traded at $16 a share. Today we're sitting at just shy of $180 with about $30 billion market cap. And a lot of inspiration has come from Ty. Thank you. So what are we solving? How do we look at it? So some of my talks probably has more learning about entrepreneurship. How do we do things? I don't claim to know it all, but we all learn from each other, and we improve upon it. I was asked to give a talk to a board of directors of a very large bank in India. And this board of directors started the question with this. She said, Jay, you're sitting in Silicon Valley running the largest cloud security company. Your customers are some of the largest enterprises who have all the money, access to all the technology, they have all the expertise. Yet I hear so often so many of these companies are getting breached. If that's what's happening in America, what hope do I have? It took me about 30 seconds to think through and come up with an answer. And what she was alluding to was all this news, you hear about it every day out there. Sometimes I wonder if you're losing the war with bad guys. And her question was, why? What I came up was, I said, you are correct. These Fortune 500 companies have all the technology, all the money and everything. What's holding them back is inertia. People like to keep on doing things they have been doing for a long time because they're comfortable with that. If we need to make really significant progress, we need to think about disruptive way of doing things. We need to think about technology that leapfrogs the bad guys. Technology incrementally improves all the time. It's expected. But every 15, 20 years, there is disruptive technology that changes the way things were done before. And that's the kind of stuff that needs to be done when you want to make significant progress. When Salesforce came around, look at where was Siebel system? They dominated everything. It was a disruptive angle to be able to figure out doing a SaaS company that could really make it a lot easier to deploy and manage. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So for Zscaler, we thought about building essentially a switchboard, what I call an exchange, a policy engine that could say any user anywhere should be able to access any application anywhere over any network and any device, where you don't have to worry about building your own network. How many of you out there have a corporate network? You spend millions and millions of dollars on it. When you have to make a phone call, do you worry about where is my corporate network? You don't. Why should you worry about building a corporate network? And even when you take firewalls, you throw them in the cloud and you say, I got cloud security, I got SaaS security. Underneath, you're still really building the networks. You got those IP addresses, you're managing IPs and dealing with all of that stuff. Older technologies. We need to think beyond that, and that's how really you make progress. We started with securing the workforce, the users. Then we moved on to securing workloads. What's common between the two? Well, workloads are somewhat like users. They talk to internet, they talk to each other. Why not use the same policy engine to say workload A can talk to workload B? Fairly simple but disruptive concept. How about IoT, OT? The world will be big with IoT, OT. Everywhere, billions and billions of them, they need to talk to each other. They need to talk securely. You're not going to extend your corporate network to every IoT device for communication. You should be able to have that communication over any network, but do it very securely. And then B2B, lots of business partners, customer suppliers need to talk to each other. How do you do that today? Well, you build an application portal, you secure it with a virtual DMZ, firewall, VPN, DDoS, all that stuff, pretty old school. Why can't it be done in a new zero trust fashion? That's really how we enjoy building some of this stuff in a very creative and very, very new way out there. Now, if I don't talk about AI, someone will say, gee, how come there's a conversation without AI? But AI plays an important role. AI is actually creating some interesting challenges for us. It's making much, much easier to launch all these attacks. A simple example. You can ask ChatGPT and say, show me all the VPN vulnerabilities reported by CISA. It could have taken a long time for you to show that. But today, in less than 30 seconds, you got a full list of all the answers. In fact, you can say, show me all the firewalls that are exposed to the internet with certain vulnerabilities for a company X. ChatGPT will tell you, OpenAI will tell you, we're trying to block those very precise queries. But there are all kind of ways around it. The point I'm making is it's easy to really consolidate information, get these answers for bad guys as well. So we really need to really beat AI with AI. Where are some of the applications we are doing here? What you're seeing here is Zscaler is the communication hub. All communication goes through us. That means we got all the logs, who talks to who, what, when, where, what kind of communication happens. The logs are fundamental for any of the activities, understanding reconnaissance or understanding new activities. So we did a recent acquisition of a company called Avalar, which gives us a very, very exciting data fabric, where we can pull in all the logs from all kind of sources without creating one more data lake out there. And now we can build applications on top of that, AI ML, whether it's generative AI or predictive AI, the combination of the two can help us to do a number of things out there. Without going too deep into it, imagine if we could predict a breach. What do you mean by that? Well, breaches don't happen right away in minutes. Breaches often take days, weeks, or months. They just get in. Then they move laterally. They find high value data or application here, there, and eventually a breach. If you have all communication of all kinds, and if you can use these AI ML models to really figure out and create an attack graph, we should be able to predict who is likely to get breached because we're picking up a number of leading indicators, and we can do some very, very exciting stuff to help our customers. So Zscaler, essentially today we're very proud to serve over 40% of Fortune 500 companies, over 30% of Forbes companies, and we lead in every vertical segment, whether it's 9 out of top 10 or 7 out of top 10. We're proud to be securing some of the largest companies out there. It's a big responsibility, but we take it seriously. And I am very proud of the fact that our Net Promoter Score, NPS, is over 70, while a typical SaaS company sits between 30, 35 or so. We've done a good job in growing because of a great architecture, because of a customer obsession being one of the key values, and we just take care of our customers. Now, let's reflect back a little bit, going back from Zscaler back to some of our early days, then I'll talk about some of the lessons we learned and lessons I can share with you. Born and raised in a tiny village in the foothills of the Himalayas in northern India. Sometimes I wonder if my life is real or I'm simply dreaming. Okay. We got electricity after I finished my 8th grade. We got running water after I finished my 10th grade. But for whatever reason, I loved to study. I was a great student. My parents were small-scale farmers, And they taught me all the honesty, integrity, and hard work. With good grades, I got into IITs. IIT BHU played an important role in my life. Thanks to India, IITs were literally free of any tuition at that time. Otherwise, I couldn't have gone to school. And thanks to Tata, where they had a Tata loan scholarship to buy a plane ticket. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it to the US without a plane ticket. Okay. Went to school in Cincinnati, got my master's, worked for a small startup in Cincinnati doing software development. Just like most Indians did at that time, we came in as engineers. And then, by accident, I moved into the business world. This small company that is software development, our sales engineer one day called sick. And my boss said, you wrote this system. Why can't you do this customer demo? I did the demo, my first demo in my life. It went well, and I was excited. And I said, wow, that is a lot more fun than writing code all day long. Okay. That's when I said, maybe I need to move out of software development. So I called IBM in Cincinnati. I joined IBM. IBM played an important role, the best sales training, and moved me to the world of business, the world of sales. From there, I moved to NCR to do international marketing. I found that I had a flair for marketing and messaging. And from there, I went to Unisys, where I was VP of sales and marketing for the software products group. So I kind of saw the big corporate world out there. But I found that sometimes the big corporate world may be probably a little too slow. And I moved to Atlanta. This is where my startup journey started. The first company I did, I got inspiration from Mark Andreessen. I was reading about Netscape. At that time, it was 95, 96 timeframe. They'd just gone public. Mozilla browser, World Wide Web was being created. And I created one for my company. And I said, wow, if this thing takes off, the security will become a problem. That's why I got into my first company, Secure IT. Okay. And then it happened quickly, it happened fast. And it has happened that if we had failed to raise VC funding, Atlanta is not the best place for funding. And my wife and I talked. We decided to put our life saving on the line. And we said, let's give it a shot. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, we can always find a job. That's how we justified it. Okay. And it went well. Then I moved on to do 3 more companies. And that took me to Zscaler. For Zscaler, I want to build the lasting company, a company that could be public. It's great to realize that dream. Let me move on to the next section. Knowing that there are lots of ambitious, driven, hardworking entrepreneurs in this audience, I'll share with you some of the lessons I learned. I alluded to lesson number 1. Disruptive versus incremental technologies. Technology changes all the time. If you build something that says it incrementally gets better, incumbents, the large players, are going to catch up with you pretty quickly. So think about disruptive technologies. Now, disruptive technologies means big commitment. And it means technology that no one is asking for. If they're asking for, very likely it's not disruptive. That's when I say don't listen to your customers because they're never going to ask you to build something totally disruptive. No one asked me to start Zscaler in my world. In fact, no one asked us to create Zscaler private access. No one asked to create Zscaler digital experience. You build some of these things, okay, because you believe in it and believe in it because of some of your experiences. Customers are good to do incremental improvements in technologies. Customers aren't good to really take you leapfrog out there. But it takes a little experience to get to the world. I was able to do Zscaler because I had some experience under my belt. I had more confidence to try it. Okay. Number 2. It's all about the team. We all say about it, but really making sure people who are passionate, who are driven, who want to do something, especially the founding team and the early leaders, if they aren't passionate, driven, it's going to fail. If you are trying to do a startup to get rich quick, you'll be very likely disappointed. It's a long journey, takes a long time. Look for people. I look for hungry but rising stars versus seasoned. Is experience good? Yes. But experience with less hunger, less desire, less fire is useless. I would go for rising stars who want to prove themselves rather than someone I have done it 3 times and now I want to I only work from 8 to 5, okay, on weekdays. Okay, that doesn't work. I think about large company versus small company. That's an ongoing thing all the time. Okay? You want to think about people who have been there and done it, but think about this way. A sales leader who's running a $10 billion business, do you think he or she can come down and run a $10 million business company? Not really. Okay. Moving from a mansion to an apartment is much harder. Okay. All right. So that's how I think. Okay. And it may not be right all the time. I'm just sharing with you what I believe in, what I practice, what I try. Number 3, culture is very critical to business. And culture and values are not something you put on a big poster in every folder out there. It's a behavior, it's a result of the behavior. It's really the leadership that walks and talks. They all look for how you behave, what you do is fundamental. And being able to take risk, encouraging your employees to be able to take risk but fail fast, try after something. And it's important. And in the early stage, being hands-on, very critical, execution focus, no politics, fundamental. Sometimes people who are sitting here send me all the PowerPoint and I'll help you make decisions. Doesn't really work, right? So the entire team from the start needs to be focused on getting things done, right? Bias for action, deadlines, all that stuff has to happen. Number 4, quite often, entrepreneurs think that the technology is so wonderful, it's just the sales and marketing. Didn't make it happen, right? Now, sales and marketing is key to success. Now, a founding CEO can't blame sales and marketing because the number 1 salesperson in any company needs to be the founders themselves, okay? If founders can't sell it, how do you expect anyone else to sell your solution early on? So, spend time. I spend at least 1/3 of my time with customers. Okay. Having customer obsession, growth obsession is fundamental. Early stage people say, hey, balanced life, and come on, startups. Balanced life, mediocre people. When you're having so much fun doing this, what do you mean balanced life? You want me to sit on the beach rather than have fun building and talking to customers? Right? That's the mindset you need to be successful, right? As you grow, lots of these large leaders coming from large companies. They want there lots of internal meetings. Every meeting, 10 people want to show up. Let's kill all the internal meetings, right? I generally don't let any internal meetings on my calendar till after lunch. Morning is meant for all customers. Customers, customers, customers. And that's how you start with. If you do that, things happen. Everything starts working out extremely well. Okay. CEO, the buck stops at you. It is a lonely job. Who do you talk to? How often? What do you do? Do you have people who are just friends? So one of the rules I used is hire at least 2/3 of the execs for a new company who you have not worked with before. It's comfortable to work with the same group all the time. But think of what you're missing out there. Every new exec, you may take a chance. And if you got 4 of them, 1 may not work. But if 3 of them work, they open the horizon. They bring some new ideas, new thoughts. They can challenge you. It's a wonderful thing. And you need people who need the leadership team who is really essentially driven. And if they are yes people, you should fire them. All right? Think of it as if there are 2 strong A personalities, if they agree with each other all the time, one of them is not needed. Something is wrong. It doesn't happen that 2 strong people agree with each other all the time. That's when I look at yes people. And as your company grows rapidly, every leader is not going to work out. If you aren't constantly upgrading, you aren't doing your job. Letting people go is hard. It's uncomfortable. Letting leaders go is much, much harder. You need the courage, need the conviction to be able to make those calls and make the change. It's hard, but you do need upgrading constantly. You need to change yourself all along too. I ask my question all the time, what have I done to change myself to deal with a larger company? Those are important things. And as a CEO, sometimes you have to wonder about these things. There's so many parties with vested interest. Is the board really looking for every interest for you? Or some of the board members have vested interests of their own? How do you figure out? Are VCs thinking about you, or are they thinking about having more money in your company because your company is going to get more valuable? Good question to ask. So it's an interesting thing. How do you think about it? I basically think about collecting multiple data points and then use your own gut, make a call, and move on rather than sit on it. So bias for action is needed. Whether it may not be perfect, it's not going to be right, but the worst thing to do is just sit on it. Okay? Raising money or selling the company, right? It gets very interesting. I mean, luckily, I hadn't had to deal with the situation a whole lot. I've been fortunate. I tried to raise money only once for the first time, where I failed to raise it. And I had put my life savings, so after that, I had the freedom to keep on funding it myself, right? But good to really find some of these things when you don't really need it, right? And when I was selling, for example, air defense, I recall, I didn't need to sell it. I kept on saying no. Some of these big companies, they play so many games with you. They will walk away from you and say, sorry, I don't want you. Sitting nervous and say, deal, am I slipping the deal? Those are hard and tough decisions. But generally, if you're in a position of strength, you really don't have to worry about some of the stuff. So don't build a company to sell it, because then you'll be desperate to sell it. Build a company that I can build a company. If it's the right opportunity, you can sell it. But don't get desperate, right? If your mindset is always saying, I got to sell it, you may not be able to make some of the right decisions you should be making. And public company, with a different mindset, different things. Zscaler was done with a very different mindset. We wanted to build a lasting company. We didn't take any shortcuts and the like. So with this, I'm going to bring our Chief Information Officer, Praniti, here on stage to share some of the experiences of how we at Zscaler try to run an efficient IT and keep the company secure, because Zscalers got to be trusted. That means we must secure this company. Praniti, welcome. So, securing Zscaler employees. Tell us how you do it.
Well, Jay, I think of IT as not just a backbone, but a strategic partner in the growth of Zscaler as a global organization. And we're north of 7,500 employees. We have 34 offices in 20 countries, and we have a staggering growth rate, which is 40% year over year. With that, an IT organization is challenged. We have an exponentially expanding attack surface, and we have to make sure that we secure it and we protect it.
Yep.
So what is our secret sauce? We do this because we're able to have zero
Zero trust.
We have no firewalls.
We
are able to have zero trust. We have no network. And we have no outdated cybersecurity infrastructure.
Right.
So what we do is, internally, we protect by making sure that we're invisible externally, and we have zero lateral movement within our attack surface.
Wonderful.
That's our secret sauce.
That's users. How about 35 some offices? Every typical company has the network connecting everything to everything.
Yeah.
They spend a lot of money. Your networking budget is gone. Internet is your corporate network.
Well, when you talk about branch offices and sales offices, and this is really simple when you're adopting zero trust. Like I said, we have zero network. What we do is we enforce the same policy on every endpoint that is in a large physical site. So we mirror these policies. So a large physical site, it leverages zero trust in the cloud, maximum protection, and the exact same leverage and benefits are at every endpoint. So it doesn't matter where the user is. Whether they're at your house, my house, at a Starbucks.
The phrase you often used, our branch office is like Starbucks.
That's right.
It's not on your corporate network.
So-
if it's not on your corporate network, there's
Yep.
no lateral movement.
Absolutely. And say the word, Jay. We could spin up a couple more.
All right? But let's move on to AI/ML.
Sure.
We have to worry about it
Oh, yeah.
for our company and to secure our customers.
Absolutely. Jay, no conversation is complete without AI these days. And I will tell you maybe 3 really quick examples on how we work on really securing our AI footprint and reaping the benefits of the AI footprint. 1, visibility. You cannot secure what you do not see.
Right?
Okay, AI auto scanning is critical. Classification of our apps is critical. And so is intelligent policy creation. And that's how we do visibility, policy, good controls. The second example, the surge of Gen AI SaaS apps. We know this is happening. All IT and security leaders are getting challenged. We've got to protect our enterprise.
Yep.
So what are we doing? Sanctioned Gen AI apps, we are able to control which department, which user has access to which app. Unsanctioned apps, we're able to block. Block access to data, we're able to move them to cloud browser isolation, and we're able to completely restrict external access if needed. Right? So on both counts, we're doing a phenomenal job. But when it comes to IP,
Right?
we want our developers to be much more productive. This is straight from the top, right here.
Of course.
And we want the efficiency of Gen AI, but we have to put the same exact rules in our DLP engine to make sure that we are protecting against accidental data loss.
Yes.
So in all 3 counts, one of the things we're trying to do is contain the risk of AI while reaping the benefits of AI.
Yes, absolutely. Good. Thank you so much. We are so proud of the work you do to keep Zscaler safe and
Thank you.
making our employees productive.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
As we wrap up, last statement. We are acquiring companies. We've done a bunch of acquisitions. Generally, we look for only technology that are very innovative. We stay from legacy technology, but if they're innovative technologies, we love them, and we've done a bunch of acquisitions. Puneet Mehrotra is our head of Corp Dev, who has really been very active in the space. We have also been investing in a number of companies, early stage, to really help them. So at the end of the day, we want this entrepreneurship, this ecosystem grow. I have a special place in my heart for every entrepreneur and every early stage company. With that, I want to thank Ty for inviting me to share my thoughts with you. I want you to have a wonderful time and learning during this conference. Goodbye.